I'm Liz Faublas, and this is Currents. Thank you for joining us. Election Day 2012. We'll report that story in a moment. But first, the storm of the century, the recovery and the rescues. The Marines are in New York, helping increasingly desperate residents with food, water, and high-powered water pumps to ease that flooding. In New Jersey, the troops are on search and rescue missions.
A sometimes forceful, systematic search for survivors.
Every time you clear the street.
Dozens of members of the U.S. Army and Air Force National Guard joined members of the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office to probe seemingly abandoned homes on Long Beach Island's Holgate community. In distress situations, they forcibly opened homes to call out for survivors.
Help, please!
The prosecutors are on hand because they have jurisdiction if any bodies are uncovered. But in most cases, it was a straightforward call to ask if anyone was inside.
National Guard! This part of the mission is search and rescue. Pretty much nobody has been here. So what we've been doing is trying to see if any residents that had stayed over during the hurricane survived. That's basically what we're looking for here, any survivors.
Homes already ripped open by Superstorm Sandy were searched inside and out, while these guard teams from New Jersey kept a sharp lookout for signs of life anywhere around a home, trying to ensure no one would be overlooked. Devastating waves broke on these beaches, ripping away huge amounts of sand that was then carried across the island, leaving 2- or 3-story homes perched dangerously atop their now shallow pilings. Today, some of those dunes are 6 feet high, making road access impossible. Not waiting for those roads to be cleared, the Coast Guard joined in this search and rescue mission, ferrying the search parties to the far southern end of the island.
Next report, anybody home?
Their work almost done, the search teams mark each house and each street with red tape to document which homes have been checked. They found some residents, but none wanting to leave, like Carl Clark, who rode out the storm and still refuses to leave, but thinks it's a good idea to keep the island closed for now.
And that is a good thing, in my opinion. You know, we have to restore this infrastructure. We can't have everybody back yet. I will stay here. I'll look after our home, our neighbor's home, watch out for, looting anybody that doesn't belong here.
Carl and the residents who are not on the island can rest assured that the 100-plus National Guard troops marching through freshly plowed sand drifts are also on the lookout for everyone.
CNN's Jim Clancy reporting. In our diocese, throughout Brooklyn and Queens, neighborhood after neighborhood has been devastated. Bishop DiMarzio, the bishop of our diocese, has been at work nonstop since the storm struck, bringing help and consolation to the hardest hit communities. He celebrated Sunday Mass in Breezy Point. He started the weekend Friday in Howard Beach at St. Helen's Church.
Today we're in Howard Beach looking at the situation here, the 2 parishes, trying to be around, giving support to the people, especially our pastoral staff. They're on the scene trying to do what they can, but it's going to be time. We need time and patience to try to get out of this. It'll eventually happen, but it's not going to happen overnight.
Even all of the ways that we've suffered over the past few days are not our end. They are a chance for us to come together and to see that our life in Christ is that much more important. It's the one thing that never goes away.
The storm, has had devastating effect throughout our community here in Howard Beach. We have 2 sections, New Howard and Old Howard. Both went underwater.
The experience during the hurricane was horrifying. It was just not knowing what was going to happen more and more by the second because the water was rising. Power was out. It was dark. It was 8:30 at night. By 9 o'clock, the whole basement was flooded.
Monday night was just the worst experience of our lives. It was just heartbreaking. We had water coming up from the basement, and then we had water coming down the block. And before we knew it, we were in over 4 feet of water in our basement and 4 feet of water on our block, and there was nowhere to go.
The water came like a river up 84th Street and up 83rd Street, and ended up with about 3 to 4 feet of water in the basement here. We lost all the power, all the electric, the transformers, everything was blowing up here on Sunday night. It was like a 4th of July, along with, as I say, the water. The school at this point is not usable.
When we opened the door, the water was cascading through, broke the window, came through the windows. It wasn't seeping in from the bottom. It was so deep in the yard and in the street, it just poured into the basement.
The water level reached about 3 inches below the ceiling, flooded everything.
There was nothing to do. Our basement, everything, as you can tell, everything is devastated in our basement. We have no heat, no hot water, no electric. It's terrible, and it's been like this since Monday.
It's reaching critical proportions. People could make it do for a day or two, but if it gets longer, you know, they are under a lot of stress, so we are concerned.
Right now, what we're dealing with is just the devastation on the part of the people trying to just get their homes cleared out, get all the destroyed furniture and other kinds of things, appliances and everything, you know, and they have no heat, they have no electric, they can't get gas, and so they're at their wits' end in many cases.
And every night I'm crying, thinking about the people that did lose people, loved ones. And I am very grateful that I have my immediate family who's still with me. But I don't know, you know, we still have faith in God, definitely.
And without believing in God and without knowing that God is there to help us, we wouldn't have been able to make it through. I wouldn't be able to get through every day.
The worst hit place with all the fires at Breezy Point, and just came right down the peninsula to the end. It's really the worst is at Breezy, and it just gets a little bit less as you go down.
I've just been in a feeling of numbness, lost, don't know what to do, waiting for my assistance. I'm homeless right now, and I just don't know what to do.
Monday night's hurricane destroyed 131 homes here by fire, and an untold number yet by flood and the tidal surge, which I understand was over 12 feet.
The whole community is devastated right now. We have no place to live. A lot of people are homeless. The kids are out of sorts because they don't have their friends. And basically the whole community is a family community. So you're missing half your family.
So I don't know where a lot of my friends are, if they're still down here, where they've been relocated to.
We're here for spiritual support, trying to help people put themselves back together again, spiritually, but also physically.
The church plays, again, as I mentioned, in the sense of being here, being a presence, being a support for the people that we've come to know and love as not only our parishioners, but our friends and neighbors.
This hurricane was the perfect storm. Any meteorologist would tell us there was a full moon, a high tide, and a storm like we haven't seen in 100 years.
I spoke to 1 or 2 people who had evacuated, and it was just a nightmare, they said. But with all of that, they still have their faith. And that's the important thing, because that is giving them hope that everything will be okay. It will take time, but it will be okay.
I think they recognize that time is important to them. They cannot rush things. They know that they've got to be patient, that reconstruction will take place, but not right away.
We're going to rebuild, and we'll be meeting on how we're going to do that. A project this massive means we're going to have a cooperative effort. We can't have 131 individual contractors, so this will be a test of our unity. Trust me on that.
Just about everybody down here has a plan to rebuild and get back down here, and all be sitting on the beach this summer and having a big family reunion and a good time together and being together again.
I plan to stay here. I don't want to leave Breezy. It's a great community, great people, and the spirit of Breezy, just seeing things on the news and different people, hysterical crying, then asking the neighbor, well, how's your baby doing? That tells you the type of people Breezy people are.
And up next, Election Day 2012, as Currents continues after the break. Welcome back. Today we vote. The nation will choose the next president of the United States along with the U.S. House and 1/3 of the Senate. The storm of the century has made voting more of a challenge this election day. Several polling places have changed in our city because of storm damage. Most in Brooklyn and Queens, where storm damage is the worst. Along Rockaway Beach, the debris is piled higher than the cars. Many streets resemble junkyards. 110 people have been killed in the U.S. by the storm. 47 in New York. The recovery will take months, the rebuilding probably years. Catholic Charities is leading the relief effort. In Bell Harbor on Rockaway Beach Boulevard, they and the young people of the community have become the first responders to neighbors who have lost so much.
It's devastation. There's no other way of saying it. It's devastation. There's over 20 houses burnt down. There are beachfront houses that are on this side. We've been very lucky. The death toll has been very low. People aren't hurt, but all the houses are pretty much flooded out. And everybody's suffering. We're all suffering together, but we'll all get through it together.
Catholic Charities has been on the peninsula since the Hurricane Sandy struck. We've met with every parish along the peninsula, or staff along the peninsula, to do whatever we can to help the people in need. This hurricane has been an absolutely disastrous event for everyone on the peninsula.
It really was the young people who put it together. From the young people, government people came, but before government people came, the Catholic Charities came. And Catholic Charities has done a wonderful job helping us, getting us supplies, helping us organize. Since they came, now you can see around there's food coming, different tents and everything else going up. We're trying to figure this all out. We're better organized today than we were even yesterday. So it's getting better little by little.
People need help. That's it. They just need people here to help them. And also just to show that they're not alone, that people are like thinking about them and came out here to just show support, even if I'm not actually doing that much, which I kind of feel like at times here, but just so people don't feel like they're being forgotten about.
We don't have any fresh food. We don't have any water. We don't have any gas. We need help. The government's not bringing it to us. We come down here just to get a quick bite to eat, you know, to hold us over until they give us power back.
I lived right on the beach block on 117th Street. I've been on that block for 20 years. We almost drowned. The water knocked out our front door, and if it wasn't for our neighbors downstairs, we might have drowned.
Seeing everyone come together like this is just amazing, just to see like how much people are doing for others and for each other. It's just amazing just to see all of this and how everyone is coming together to do what they can for the people who are less fortunate.
We really would like people who are interested in helping out to go to the Catholic Charities website, because we will be updating information there as to how exactly they can help. They may help by volunteering, by giving their time, or they may help by donating.
In the midst of such total devastation, I stand in awe at the faith and the strong-willed people of this community who, despite all the tremendous loss, still stand firm saying, how can we help? The very first day after the hurricane, people were bringing things here to help other people. As bad as they were here to help others. And that's the spirit and the nature of this community.
Up next, the coming housing crisis, and I'll speak with the pastor of another neighborhood that was decimated in the hurricane as Currents continues. Well over 1 million people are still without power in New York, New Jersey, and on Long Island following the storm of the century. Gas lines remain blocks long, and Governor Cuomo says he doesn't know when that will end in New York. Thousands upon thousands of people don't know when or where they're going to find a place to live. That's the next big post-storm crisis. About 40,000 people in the city and many more in New Jersey now homeless. The head of FEMA says he's ready to send in the trailers made infamous after Hurricane Katrina. For Monsignor Michael Curran, the pastor of Blessed Trinity Parish in Breezy Point, the homeless crisis is especially acute. So many homes were burned to the ground in his neighborhood. He joined me at Current Studios and I asked him about the makeup of the parish.
Blessed Trinity Parish is actually the combined parishes of the former St. Genevieve's and the former St. Thomas More, St. Edmund. So we are basically the west end of the Rockaway Peninsula. So we have 3 churches, St. Genevieve, St. Thomas More, and St. Edmund, but we're one parish.
And about how many parishioners in the area?
Well, a good way to put it is that we have 2,800 dwellings, and 90+% of those households are Catholic. So well into, 1,000 or more Catholic families, or more than that, but pretty much the entire place is predominantly Catholic.
And Monsignor, where are you now in the recovery efforts right now? Has FEMA been in touch with you? And I know Catholic Charities has gone all out to try to help the region. So where are we now?
Right now, Liz, we are basically standing there not knowing where to begin, as a lot of people put it, but we know that there's help there. So we have seen certainly Catholic Charities and so many different outreach agencies of our diocese, and the federal government. FEMA is there, the Red Cross, the National Guard. Again, people can be a little bit frustrated as how fast things are moving.
And what is the mood out there? What is the sentiment? As I can't imagine the amount of frustration that must be being laid on just everyone there right now. What's the mood in terms of faith, in terms of the spirituality?
I think faith is what is getting people through it. Certainly in our parish, and I'm sure the other parishes on the peninsula could say the same thing in their own circumstances. But people, are frustrated, but at the same time realize that nobody has ever been through this in our circumstances before. So I think people are grateful for the help and are showing a lot of patience.
Monsignor, we know there's complete devastation. And at this point, it's an understatement.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit ahead of the interview about the fact that there was no loss of life with regard to the fires and the devastation, because that would have just added to the extent of the agony. Let's not waste any time. What do you need right now in the parishes in Breezy Point? What would you request? What is it that needs to be done?
What the people need most is to get settled somewhere in the immediate, to have a dry, safe place for themselves and their families. And I suppose what people need most is something that we can't provide, or nobody can provide at this point, but only gradually: information. When will power come back? What will be the timeline in terms of their ability to reconstruct? Where are the kids going to school? Things that a week ago you never would have even thought of as issues. So I think people, when we get information, will be able to act accordingly. But right now I think folks are still wondering exactly what's going to happen. There's been a tremendous outpouring of donations from around the country, really.
And I know we took extra donations at the diocese throughout Brooklyn and Queens and so on and so forth. Were you able to hold Mass? I don't know if parishioners have been able to come back, if residents have been able to come back. I know it's very dangerous to be in the area, but you did say there were some residents that came in Wednesday to kind of survey the damage. Have you seen that? And what do you tell them?
Well, you don't use many words. I think that this is a time for people just to be together, to cry, to find something to laugh about if there is anything, to just be together, to hug, and to, I think people just take comfort in seeing one another. And yesterday we were able to get the word out through the different social media aspects, and to have Mass. Bishop DiMarzio was kind enough to come down, and we gathered at 12 noon, pretty much a full church, with a lot of people from the community are able to get back, and their family members are able to get back. And it was so very important for us to have that celebration of the Eucharist with the chief shepherd of the diocese.
Yes.
You know, to know that that God is in the midst of all of the chaos. God is the one steady presence in our community, and the strength that He'll provide will get everybody through it, slowly but surely.
And Monsignor, in a moment of levity ahead of our interview, we talked a little bit about how Cardinal Dolan was on a search for you.
Yeah.
Immediately following
Sure,
the hurricane, and we also talked about how encouraging His Eminence is, and he did say that the most noble sentiments of people are coming out at this very critical time. Is that what you're seeing?
Definitely. I think that some members of the community have said the same thing, and that when we are experiencing the worst, that does draw the best out of us. The generosity, the kindness, just the desire to be present to each other. And people who have lost everything are pitching in to help those who lost almost everything, you know. So it's an amazing, it's an inspiration to me, and I'm sure to many others, just to see how people are reacting. You know, that gives hope, because you know that the image we used yesterday was of a very long Lent, because literally we're in ashes. Yes. But there's going to be there's certainly going to be Easter. That the faith, our Catholic faith, will strengthen us. That we'll slowly but surely. We don't know how we're going to do it yet, but we'll rise up, and it'll be a community that will be forever changed, because this, I think, is a life-altering moment. But I think ultimately changed for the better.
And we'll see what the power of faith will do. We
Definitely.
talked about that. In a year, we'll look back and see what the power of faith and strength is. Please know, from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of everyone here at NET and Currents, our prayers, our thoughts, our assistance are with you. You just say the word, and we'll be there.
Appreciate it, Liz. And you know, I want to, behalf of the people of Blessed Trinity, and I speak for the other parishes that we haven't been able to round everybody up, but to thank you very much, and thank the people of the NET and the diocese for helping us get the word out. Yes. Again, we'll promise to be loyal watchers of the NET once we get power to get it back.
We truly appreciate that, and appreciate more that you were able to join us here today. Thank you, Monsignor. Thank
My
you
pleasure.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, we've shown you Storm of the Century from many different vantage points, but perhaps one from above is the most telling. Here are some satellite images of Manahawkin, New Jersey. That's before the storm. And here we see it after. And Brick Township, New Jersey, before and after. Ocean City, Maryland. There you see Staten Island. And another shot there of Staten Island, New York. Places just obliterated by the storm of the century. Up next, we'll go back to Breezy Point for the story that shows love can overcome almost anything, as Currents continues. Throughout our broadcast, we have shown you tears and courage and faith that are all part of the storm of the century. Now we show you love, a love that could not be drowned no matter the power of the storm, a love fulfilled on Saturday.
This is Matt and Christine, and today was their wedding. While we were out covering the storm's wreckage, we glimpsed something unexpected. We'd come to see a hotel that was full of refugees from Hurricane Sandy, and while the Coast Guard and Red Cross were going to sleep in cots on this side of the wall, on the other, a wedding planned for 316 people was being set up. The bride is Christine Hassett. Her parents lost their home this week in Breezy Point, Queens. Her church, gone too. We called her, and she said we could come to her wedding.
This is my godson.
Her fiancé, Matt Bobie, is a firefighter and was an early responder in the storm.
I went in the morning after, and then, you know, it's just a recovery effort, you know, and everyone lending a helping hand.
Every guest lost something. The groom's parents said they had friends who couldn't come because they had no gas.
Is there anyone at this wedding who was not affected? Nobody.
Tim Cochran is the groom's uncle, and Roberto Ludovico is a close family friend. Both lost their homes, but not their spirit.
Everyone has been so wonderful, so wonderful. I can't get over it. I can't get over it.
Thing about New York, you know, you saw it on September 11th, and you see it again.
Well,
now
they
with
said
this.
that the truck coming out of Breezy said this is nothing. We will rebuild. We already lost with 9/11.
That sentiment isn't lost on anyone here.
Very hard week. Very, very hard week. But everybody worked together. People are just amazing.
Christine and her mom planned the wedding for a year and a half.
We need this happiness today. We really need this happiness. Tomorrow we'll go back and we'll deal with what we have to deal with, but today is my daughter's day, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it.
And it was a moment of joy, making the horrific loss for a moment seem small.
It's nice to have a reason to put the stuff behind us for a day, and can't wait to see my wife open the door, and hopefully we can have a good day in the midst of all this.
I'm happy, very happy.
CNN's Erin Burnett reporting that really great story. Thank you for joining us. Please join us tomorrow for our continuing coverage of the storm of the century and for our Election Day wrap-up tomorrow night on Currents. Until then, visit us online at currentsny.net. Tonight, we leave you with more of Bishop DiMarzio's celebration of Mass at Breezy Point. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Liz Fablis. Thanks for watching and have a good night.